courtyard classrooms. This is the courtyard wing. So when we refer to courtyard classrooms, this is what we're talking about. None of you are teaching in this room because this is where building bridges is, and they have a separate training. But Free to Believe is in the first two rooms that way. Exploring Origins are in the two rooms that way. You'll have more of an opportunity to look at your specific rooms when you meet with them. But I did want to mention, first of all, that we set up the classrooms with 3 tables for each weekend. You are free to rearrange things however you would like. So if you want to take the tables down and leave them against there, that's totally fine. If you want to move them off to the side, that's totally fine. A lot of people have been doing that, especially with our awesome new rugs, so that they can do circle time. Like in my perfect world, our rooms would be double the size, and we would have sitting area and we would have circle area, right? Go figure. Life isn't perfect. So we make do with what we have. But feel free to do whatever you want in terms of arranging the room, okay? So typically what happens, so kids start out in service for the first 20 minutes, right, for the intergenerational message. And then they wander in here, and lots of times how teachers handle this is they'll have name tags spread out on a table or on a counter, however you want to do that. Every child who's actually enrolled in the class has a name tag, so they can grab their name tag on their way in, and you can check them in so that you're keeping attendance. Attendance is actually really important to us because the board likes to know what our enrollment versus attendance, and I like to know, so it's interesting to know what you're up each weekend. Also, a lot of our classes have waiting lists, and what I'll do like in late October is I'll take a look at how many kids are enrolled versus how many are typically showing up. And if I can add another kid or two, I'll send an email off to your teaching team and say, what do you think? Would that be okay? Sometimes teachers go, no, we have 19 boys in our classroom, we can't handle it. But other times people are like, yeah, sure, whatever. It honestly works. We have several really boy-heavy classes this year. I was like, oh, where are all the girls? Where did they go? So I think the boys chased them away. I'm only kidding. I haven't done that later.
Demographic fluke, so you're telling me.
It's a demographic fluke. Okay, so kids are an intergenerational message. You have shown up early so that you can get prepared for your class. You have everything laid out that you're going to want to use. You have your head wrapped around what you're going to do. They show up. They pick up their name tag. Somebody, maybe your parent helper, checks them in on the attendance sheet. And then you can say, sit at your tables, or let's sit in a circle. And then you begin your opening ritual. So, unlike a lot of the curricula that's written by other people, doesn't account for kids showing up at the same time. It assumes that people are going to be trickling in. And so a lot of the curricula have like an entering activity written into it. We don't have an entering activity because they all arrive at the same time. And then the other thing, this came to me in the middle of the night, as most good ideas do. And there's always like this awkwardness to me of when we're doing joys and sorrows or doing our check-in, what do you do with the stones? Like, are they just lying out there? And I thought, as each kid comes in, give them a stone. And then they have their stone for joys and sorrows, so everyone has a stone. As they check in, you can mark them off on the attendance sheet and give them a stone. Does that make sense? Okay.
And they can noodle with it until it's time to
That's right. It is. Yes, the stones are for fidgeting, not for throwing. So, you have at your disposal in your closet your chalice box, chalice time, okay? So the way that we will typically start a class, and those of you who have taught before, especially recently, like I'm particularly thinking about Tamara here, if you have done other things, let me know, okay, that you think would be useful for people to know. So everyone has arrived, they've been checked in, they got their stone. We start by ringing a chime, and that signals the start of class. And what we ask them to do is everyone remains quiet and listens to the chime until they can't hear it any longer. And you could ask them to close their eyes as sort of more of a centering thing. But it's a way of kind of really shifting the energy in the room so that we're calming down, we're getting ready to pay attention to what's going on right here, right? And then in the middle of your circle, which I wish I would have done when I was standing up, you have your chalice. And typically what happens is whoever the parent helper is for that week, their child lights the chalice. And you can keep track of that on your attendance sheet by putting a little C next to that name so that you know that everyone's had a chance to light the chalice, because it is awfully exciting. Yes.
And it
involves fire.
to do it volunteer.
That's right. There you go. So some of our kids, of course, are more adept with matches than others. If they need help, let's actually kind of hope that they do need to follow with the matches. That's a good thing. You may even want to light the match for them and then let them light the candle. How have you done that in the past?
We've had them light the match, but I know with our chalice last year, it was shaped such that it was like a bowl shape with the candle down the middle. And so we had to have some little moments of describing, you don't hold the match and then go like that because you're going to burn yourself. We had to sort of talk through the geometry of how to make it work. But
these are the pearls of wisdom that are not So, okay. All right, so you're asking the parent helper kid, let's make Chris our kid this week. Chris, would you mind lighting the chalice? And together we're going to read our chalice words, which are up here. And these are the chalice words for all of the 2nd through 5th graders that we're instituting this year. So, Chris is going to light the candle. And then together we're going to say, we light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the Church of the Open Mind. This is the Church of the Loving Heart. This is the Church of the Helping Hands. Together we care for our earth and work for peace and friendship in our world. Okay? Alright, that's a little bit different than the preschool, right? So, that's how we start out each week.
Can I ask a short question about the flame?
Yes.
Are there any classrooms that have like the lighter thingies, like my daughter's class did last year?
Would that be helpful?
Well, no, because when I was... not to name any names. I actually don't know how to use one because I just use matches, but not to name any names, but when I was parent helping in there a couple times, there was a teacher in that group who would let one of the students play with that during class, and it made me very nervous. And I whoa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's all lighter. Yes. Teacher was like, oh, he's playing with the light. Oh yeah. I'm like, is it me? No, I don't think it's me. Just made me nervous because that's, not that it's going to start with red on fire, but just, it didn't seem like we should encourage the other children to then want to play with the lighter.
Yeah, I think you were right on there. So. I will ask Deb. She stocks those containers, so I'll ask if there are any lighters. If there is a lighter, don't let the kids play with it.
Well, yeah, it was just one of those things I didn't think we would have to tell another parent.
Yeah. Right.
Please let your kid play with those matches.
I did forget something. After the sound of the chime has ended, you'll want to welcome your parent helper, introduce your parent helper. So Kurt is here helping us out today. We welcome Kurt. And
welcome, Kurt.
Hi, I'm Kurt.
And if there are any kids visiting that day, it's nice to introduce them and welcome them. Okay? So then you have options. So there are one of two things that you can do for the next piece. You can do joys and sorrows, which is inviting kids to share something that was really special and joyful that happened in the past week, or something that made them feel really sad. And you can offer a couple of examples. The couple that I wrote down were, down here. A sad thing might be that they had grandparents visiting from out of town, and then their grandparents had to leave, and they wanted to share that with the group. A happy thing might be that they got to go out for pizza with their friends, something like that. And then you go around the circle and everyone has an opportunity to bring their stone up to the circle, introduce who they are, because the parent helper probably doesn't know who they are, the visiting kids won't know who they are, and share their joy or sorrow. The other option, especially at this age level, is to have a check-in question. A specific question that you're asking everyone to respond to. So some examples of check-in questions might be, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? What's something that you can do that you're really proud of? What's something that you learned recently that you're excited about? What's something that you'd love to learn about or learn to do? You know, kind of the sky's the limit. You can come up with all kinds of things. And it's really up to you which of those two things you want to do, and it doesn't have to be the same thing each week. Whoever is curriculum or community lead that week can decide how they want to do that, okay? The trickiest thing about this part of the class, I think, is that there are kids who will be like, I got the stage, I'm going to run with it, and you're going to go on this tangent and that tangent, and you have to kind of rein them in and say, okay, thanks so much for sharing that, Nicole, but we're going to focus on this right now, so let's talk about that later. And just try to keep them back in, recognizing that, you know, you may have anywhere from 10 to 20 kids in your class who need a turn to go around, right? So, should we do a little trial run of one?
And is it also okay to remind the kids to listen and not remark? Because I've had that happen too in the past, where they're like, oh, well, I don't do that because that's really boring, you know, and that feels not respectful. And
yes.
teachers seem to have, you know, everybody's got their own style of how much chat they want to allow, but
right, yeah. No, that's a really, really great point to, you know, maybe remind people that when we go around the circle, it's one person at a time, so everyone please hold what they feel really compelled to say, just hold it in. Okay.
If I could just add, one thing that we had done is there was always a choice of who did the chime and the chalice, who started out in a circle and stuff. And so granted it wasn't as like set, and yet I guess in hindsight it seemed like it was a way of having people be more attentive, you know, because it's like, oh, it's going to be him or her or me, and it seemed that you know always helped keep a spark going, I guess.
Okay, all right. So each week you would decide who's going to do which of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't really thought about having a kid do the chime, but why not? Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then also, it was a good opportunity for kids in a safe place to like try and light a match, because it seemed like in our class, out of the 12, there were maybe 2 or 3 that were like experienced at it, and so a handful of them were like, well, I'd like to try, but you know, I've never done it.
Okay, good. While I'm thinking of this, and what made me think of this is the one person talking at a time thing. Those of you who are teaching Free to Believe, who are, okay, these rooms are loud. It's better with the rods now, but if there's a class meeting next to you, which most of you will have someone on either, well, you're in the middle room on either side, the sound really carries. And so even if you're comfortable with a really high level of volume, we really need to be sensitive to who's next door. And so, you know, not that we want people to not have fun and have spirited time together, but you need to kind of rein in the noise if it's too much. People next door are like, I can't hear you. Okay, so you've done your, let's do a check-in. Let's just do a check-in together so that we can feel that community spirit. Anybody have a particular check-in question that they would recommend? Ms. Barb?
I don't have a question.
What's something that you're looking forward to about teaching this year? And then you can introduce yourself, and we'll just do like you were kids doing this. And usually we go around the circle, and people are free to pass. They don't really want to. So Jeff, that puts you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm teaching Free to Believe, and I'm just looking forward to having more
just from being a parent helper, my daughters have been in class for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm just looking forward to having more great experiences with children, because just having that as a parent helper, I really found that's kind of like teaching.
Okay,
Because I enjoyed that so much, and now I want to do it.
good, cool. And you know what? Pause. See, I'm not usually in the classroom doing this stuff. Things are coming to me as I'm sitting there talking. So rather than having this in the middle, very inaccessible to people, put that around here.
Yes,
Your home was more civilized.
I have more girls in my classroom. I'm looking forward to our team. I think we have a great team. Paul and a couple other people, and to deepening relationships with the kids and with the adults.
My name is Chris. Looking forward to, this might sound a little selfish, but I'm looking forward, basically my daughter asked me to do this, and I was so excited that she asked, she was like, oh no, I'm just looking forward to, that she, I was, anytime they ask me to do something, to volunteer, I feel like, how many more times do I get with that? I'm looking forward to having an experience that she's asked me to.
I'm Sandy, and I'm looking forward to knowing what my son is doing in the next room.
So if I want to practice jumping in when I'm not supposed to, so that you have a chance to tell me. Would this be a good time?
That's a really excellent question. Let's talk about that after.
I'm Paul, and I am co-teaching the Exploring Our Origins. I love science and myths, so I'm excited about that. And I love all the insights that all the kids share, so I'm looking forward to having that again.
I'm Chris, I'm teaching Free to Believe, and I'm looking forward, it's been a while, I've taught before, but it's been several years, looking forward to just reconnecting again in that way.
I'm Tamara, I'm also teaching Free to Believe with Chris. I'm looking forward to meeting new teaching team members. I'm looking forward to doing the Free to Believe curriculum again, because I remember the last time I did it, by the end of it, I knew all 7 principles in order. I can only come up with 1 and 7 right now, so I better let it go in the middle.
I'm Cindy. I'm going to be one of the Exploring Our Origin teachers on Saturday, and I'm coming back to teaching after about a 4-year hiatus. I'm excited about that. And one of the things I like best about teaching is getting to know families a little better, because sometimes I just know their names from potluck or something, and then I get to know the parents and the kids both, and that's really fun.
Thank you. My name is Bill. I will be one of the teachers for the Exploring Our Origins. I took a year off last year, and I'm hoping that it's such a challenge for me to manage that many children. I'm really hoping that this year that they're a little bit older, it might be a little bit easier for me. So that's my pushing myself a little bit into the uncomfortable zone.
I'm Susan, I'm teaching Free to Believe on Saturdays, and I'm going to admit that I'm not sure I'm looking forward to this. Something is definitely outside my comfort zone, and so I am looking forward to pushing myself and trying to do something that I'm not really working on.
But that's why you're part of the team. You're part of the team. Yeah. You have a team built. It's good. So use them.
I'm Peggy, and I have worked with kids this age as tutor, and I just love second and third graders, the questions and the answers that they come up with. So I'm really looking forward to being
I'm Barb, I'm teaching Free to Believe on Saturday, and I haven't taught in many years, and so I'm looking forward to getting to know actually 2 generations that I'm really quite out of contact with within the FBS community. The kids, of course, but also their parents.
I'm Tony. I'll be teaching Exploring Our Origins on
11 o'clock Sunday morning. I guess I'm looking forward to that question that catches you off balance. Either because it's from a kid who doesn't usually contribute, or because the question is one that really stops you dead, and you have to think hard to figure out how you're going to answer it. It's outside my comfort zone, definitely. I could give you examples of a couple of times this happened last year. I think I met the grade and handled them well, but it's just something you just have to be prepared for, I guess.
I'm Sherry, and I am teaching with Tamara and with Kate and Kurt in the Free Believe It.
Oh, the whole team is here?
Yeah! Chris and I have talked together before, and it's been several years, and I was guilted into coming I really do love the kids, and I love that age kid. I've been tutoring in my granddaughter's class, which was 3rd grade, and it was so much fun. I know this will be too.
I'm Alyssa, and I'm teaching Exploring Our Origins. And I just realized I haven't taught for a few more years than I realized, because I taught the little kids previously and realized that I'm actually teaching the same age, because some of the same kids are showing up. I'm really excited about, because it's fun to reconnect with those kids and parents. So that's someone whom I haven't really talked to much since that time.
I'm Peter Believe group, and there's all kinds of reasons, but the primary one is just that I love really looking forward to spending time with kids that age.
Great. And I didn't give myself a stone, so. And I'm Leslie, and I'm really looking forward to getting to work with returning teachers and new teachers and getting to know new teachers. So it's always exciting. You know how you get like programmed into the academic school year, and then when college ends and you feel out of sorts because you're not on that calendar year, and so this job puts me back on that calendar year, so I sort of had that, what, it's a new year. So that's kind of fun. Alright, so your class has then gone through their opening ceremony. Everyone has done their joys and sorrows of a check-in question. Might be a good time to move the chalice out of the middle of the floor. And then just talk about what you're going to be doing before everyone starts moving. Talk about what you're going to be doing that day, because just like adults, kids like to know what to expect. Some teachers even put it up on the dry erase board, because there are kids who really benefit from, I need to know what's going to happen in what order. So I encourage you to use your dry erase boards for that purpose. I'll also just mention that every room has the principals hanging in it. So if you're like Tamara and you started out not knowing who the principals are, which is probably most of the teachers, and that's fine. They're there. Okay. So then you go about your business, you do your activities, you may be doing the stories, you may be doing an art activity, and maybe who knows what you're going to be doing. There's so many options. And then it's time for closing. And this is a little bit tricky, because you get wrapped up in doing something, and suddenly you realize, oh no, class is ending in 5 minutes. We need to do our closing. We need to clean up. If you feel so inclined to get the kids to help with cleanup, that's a nice way for them to take responsibility for what's going on in their space here in the classroom. But it is really helpful, and this is one of those places where it's helpful to have the curriculum lead and the community lead, because the community lead has closing ritual on his or her mind, right? And can say to the curriculum lead, hey, we're coming to take close to the time for the closing ritual. We should probably wrap up this activity. So hopefully that helps make that smooth transition. And then, as much as possible, depending on what you've done that day, you may have tables out here, but as much as possible, clear a space so that you can sit in a circle again for your closing ritual. And what I recommend, and by the way, This is in your binder, the suggested opening and closing rituals are in your binder. I suggest getting in a circle again. If you think it would be helpful to ring your chime again, which it may very well be, go ahead and do that to bring everyone's focus here. And I suggest saying we had a lot of fun today talking about fill in the blank. What was your favorite thing that we did today? And then just doing, you can either do a quick go around the circle or just open it up. Anybody want to share what their favorite thing was that we did today? And then, if possible, talk about why we suppose we did that. You know, here we are in children's religious education. How does that tie in with us being Unitarian Universalists? Why is that important that we talked about this today? And see if they have any ideas. It's nice to kind of pull it back to, we are here as a union community. How does what we do in class relate to us as a union community? And it could be that it's something that focused on the interdependent web of life. It could be that it focused on a democratic process, you know, just somehow bring it back to us as a UU community, if you can, if there's an obvious link. And then you do your closing words together. And it's going to be a little nicer. It's not going to have all these clips on it, but we just had this done, so I haven't had a chance to fix that up. For this room, we're going to put magnets on the back and we'll be hanging on your walls there. So, okay, so now we're going to do our closing words together. And for the closing words, we all hold hands. And then together we say,
may we be good friends to all we meet. May we remember the things we learned and did together. And may we know peace. Go now with peace in our hearts.
And squeeze hands. Squeeze. And then you're done. That's the end of your class. Yeah.
What time does Saturday service children's,
Great question. So services begin at 4:30, 9, and 11. Kids are in there usually for 25 minutes. They come to class. You have until 6 o'clock. 9 o'clock has until 10:30. 11 o'clock has until 12:30. So generally speaking, you have an hour, really. You know, give or take a few. Yeah. And the kids who have classes in this room, one class is over, it's okay for them to go out on their own and find their parents, or you know, they may have a parent who's teaching in a classroom or something like that. So it's okay for them to go out. And the other wing, they have to be checked out. The other thing that I'll tell you that as teachers, if you're a parent, you know that parents are expected to be a classroom helper. So let's say you have 3 kids and you're teaching in one class. You don't have to be a parent helper. If you're a teacher, you're exempt from that requirement. But if you want to be a teacher or a parent helper in your other kids' class, then you just need to let that classroom support coordinator know that it's okay to schedule you. Okay. All right. Any questions about any of that? We're good. I don't have a watch on you at all. I have like
10:38. 20 minutes to 11.
20 minutes to 11. Okay, good. So I think we are done in here, and then what I'll do is I'll send Deb to you. You guys can stay put. I'll send Deb to you, and then I'm going to go find the other folks.
I was going to say that because of the way the services work, that time when your kids are still in service, that kind of the natural prep time
Yes.
for the teachers, obviously.
Yes.
So I just think, well, I have to come to church earlier. No, not really. I mean, if you just come when you normally come, your family does their thing, and it gives you enough time to kind of get the supplies.
May or may not. What are you teaching?
Pre-believe.
Yeah, probably will.
I'm just trying to think, that first couple weeks, how much time should I allot to make
If
sure.
you looked at the lessons before that day, it would.
Yeah, generally, like in your teacher's manual, there's a suggested schedule for preparing. And I generally say a half hour before.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
Yeah. I was just curious how
Most of you have taught, what do you think?
It's like, if we come to Saturday, if we arrive at 4:20, and kids go to church, then they come in like 10 to 5 or 5 to 5 to class, so I have 30 minutes.
Is that enough time then?
Usually, if it seems like it's an involved lesson, I might come a little sooner, but,
Okay.
it just kind of depends.
Well, I would know,
Deb has all the supplies usually, so I don't usually have to run for that.
for the sake of the other teacher who's teaching that same day with you, I would say never arrive later than the beginning of service, because I know I've had several panic mornings where the other teacher's there, and I'm thinking, okay, do I need to go figure out this curriculum right now, and learn all stuff, or are they just running late, or?
That's true.
Yeah, so, don't scare your co-teachers.
And when I'm not curriculum lead, I usually would like say, hi, I'm here, do you need help, or can I go to
Well,
church?
when I'm I don't bring the binder all the time, and then I would have the moment of, oh, crap, I gotta go. Where's the lesson?
Yeah. So it's just nice to know the person in the building somewhere, and we'll be showing up with the students.
Yeah, we've had many panic teachers coming up.
Right.
I was just wondering if the teachers, it helps if you're experienced, but if you're new, I'm not sure, meet to plan the meeting, or do you just swap it out depending on what role you're playing and then figure it all, the one person figures out the whole curriculum thing and makes a decision?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like,
I don't know how involved it is.
Depends on, we try to switch around with who does which weeks and who does which roles, so everybody has like half the time their curriculum.
No, I just mean, is it involved enough so that you actually need to get together and plan it out, or does one person take
I
responsibility
usually have not
for
done
each
that.
week?
I don't know what other people do. I usually have not, unless I think there's some activity I need them to be more involved in that particular week, I guess. What have other people done? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it also, certain people have different styles, like, there are some teachers, that kind of will assume, as lead on this, I'm always going to do that, and you'll always do this other thing. And then other teachers, it's very fluid, as you show up in advance, and I'll do this, you'll do that. So it all depends on what you want to do.
Have to wait to see.
Yeah, I think if you're curriculum lead and there's something in particular you want your co-teacher to do, beyond leading the opening and closing rituals, then shooting an email about that is a good idea, but boy, I'd never be able to recruit enough teachers if they had to meet each week to plan it together.
Yeah. Or just start from home.
Yeah, right, well, that's true, yeah. So some of it does just depend on your team and how you guys decide to work together. But there isn't an expectation that you have to do that.
If we manage to get ourselves here, but not our binders, is there a spare binder?
Yeah.
Good question.
Right, and actually, in exploring, this is particularly an issue for exploring our origins because we're not giving you all of the lessons, but there are complete binders in your classroom in case you forget yours.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, that's a good.
They take good care of us.
Okay, other questions? All right, yeah.
You might have answered this already, but do you usually, the way it works with your group, do you just kind of split everything up at the beginning of the year and just kind of sign up
Yes.
for everything? So that every week, I noticed there's about 32 days, and if there's 4, you could consider 13 or something like that.
Yeah, before we part today, I'm going to ask that everyone figure out a way to get in touch with your teaching teams, and then you should schedule a time between now and the start of classes, which is September 6th and 7th, by the way. And together you sit down and look at your calendar, you put together your calendar for the year, and usually people will do like the first semester, and then they'll maybe get later and do the second semester. It's really, because, people have different stuff going on, so it works much better for you guys to meet and figure out a calendar than like for us to assign weeks, right? Wow. So there's 32.
Do all the teachers on the team show up for the first Sunday?
Yes, thank you. It's a really, really good idea. If all of the teachers show up to the first class session, so that you can meet all the kids, first of all, attendance will probably never be better. But it is on that first day. So you can meet all the kids, they can meet all of you. Not a bad idea when you meet with your team to talk about each of you taking a piece of that first session so that each of you is getting a chance to do a little interaction with the kids on that first day, and then from that point on. And while I'm thinking of this right now, let me just mention that what often happens is that, attendance is really good at the beginning, and then life happens, games happen, concerts happen, blah, blah, blah. And, you may have like 2/3 of your enrolled kids showing up, and then it's January, and attendance is really good.
Yeah.
Everyone's like got their New Year's resolutions happening, and sometimes that's a little freak out moment because we may have added a couple kids to your class, and then suddenly you have a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
Don't panic, because attendance will, for better or for worse, it will lessen over time. And then I'll also just mention if there are 2 sections of the class going on at a time, and let's say it's December and the weather's crappy and each class had 4 kids show up, it's fine for you guys to combine for that day if you want. Yeah, it's, and we kind of leave that up to teachers to decide if they want to do that. But it's totally fine with us if you decide to do that. Okay.
At that point, if they're gonna cancel classes and post church, how does that happen?
That is announced on our website and on our outgoing message. I think it's by 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, 3 o'clock on Sunday. I don't know exactly, but I do include that in teachers' news as we get, do you know? 6 o'clock? Okay, 6 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Do you know the time for Saturday? Okay. And something o'clock on Saturday, but I will be sending that information out as we head into winter. I'll also be giving you my cell phone number so that, and I really try to remember to have my cell phone on me so that if you get stuck or something comes up and you can't make it, we actually have quite a few people who come from pretty far out of town. You can call me and I can let your co-teacher know that you're stuck in the ditch or something. Okay. Hopefully that won't happen.
You give us your cell phone.
I will, yeah. I'll email it to you as winter comes. Really long time. We are loath to cancel service and classes.
Yeah.
And as long as there's a service going on, there are classes going on. So, we have done it in my years here, but it has to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
So.
If we do have something that comes up last minute, would you rather have us call our co-teachers than contacting you?
Yeah, that's always your first step, and if you can figure it all out with your co-teachers, awesome. If you can't, then let me know, and then we'll come up with a plan. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.